Good afternoon. I'm Dr. James Smith Jr., and welcome to another edition of the Dr. James Show. And I know I look happy and giddy and looking forward to our guests. That's the way it is every week. And certainly this week is no different. We need this guy. We need his book. We need his wisdom. We need his story. And he's going to share it with you momentarily. The timing couldn't be better. Before we dive in with our interview, it's time for another edition of Alumni Love. This time with Dr. Deborah Joboa, or as I like to call her, Dr. G. Hey, Dr. James here. We're here with Dr. G in another segment of Alumni Love. Dr. G, welcome back to the Dr. James Show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back.
Great to have you. Tell us what's been happening in your life since you last appeared on the show. What's hot? Fill us in.
What's hot? Boy, I've had some really amazing opportunities. I dropped a TED Talk last April that is called Doing Too Much is Good for You. And with that provocative title, I'll leave it there, but it is, I think, actually useful. And it's some hard-won lessons. And I am working on a book that came out of that, which is called From Stressed to Resilient, How to Handle More and Feel It Less. So that'll be released in the spring. So I hope that people will get in touch with me online and watch this space. And lastly, because right now we're at the beginning of a school year that is probably more challenging in some ways than even last year was. I heard from parents all summer long that what they're more worried about even than their children's physical health is their kids' mental health. They're kindergartners, they're college age students, they're vocational school, community college, doesn't matter what age. Kids who are trying to get learned in this school year, we're worried about their mental health. And so I have a course that I'm running for parents for the next 3 Sundays called Ready for Anything. And it is about how to check in on and protect and strengthen our kids and our teens and our young adults' mental health.
I love it. I love it. Dr. G, if people want to reach out to you, where and how can they connect with you?
Easiest thing to do is go to my website, askdrg.com. And if you're interested in the course, register as quick as you can. It's askdrg.com/ready.
Dr. G, thank you for bringing some alumni love to the Dr. James Show again. You take care and be safe. I love the alumni love. Question. When you think about the state of our country right now, or perhaps even the state of the world, what comes to mind? Some would say apathy, some would say uncertainty, some would say stress, frustration, pandemic, again, frustration. Well, our guest today has the cure for what ails us. He has the cure for the panacea. Let's learn a little bit about him. His name is Howard Prager. Howard is the president of the Advanced Learning Group. Howard is an author, Howard speaker, executive coach, and leadership consultant. I'd like to call him the Leadership Insights Whisperer. He's a member of the Marshall Goldsmith 100 Coaches. He has 8 professional awards for his work. He's also a tuba player. You can see it over his right shoulder or left shoulder. He's a sports writer. He's a member of ATD and the Authors Guild. And he's also a friend. I met Howard a while ago at a conference. With that said, Howard Prager, welcome to the Dr. James Show.
Dr. Jim, it's a delight to be here. Thank you for having me. And it was a delight to hear the alumni update too. I think that was great.
We're going to get you on as an alum pretty soon, but we got you now. And based on what I've heard, the word on the street, Howard, today is a special day for you. Tell us about it.
It is. Thank you, Jim. It has taken from 5 years from the dream to the reality. But today Make Someone's Day has been published. And I'm so
Mm.
delighted to be able to say and share that. And it's available at all your favorite online bookstores, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, to name just a few places that you can get it. It's available in hardcover, softcover, and even in the Kindle version, which happens to be on sale just for the next 24 hours for just 99 cents.
Wow,
Yeah,
99 cents. People can learn how to make someone's day.
right.
14 chapters of chock full of information for only 99 cents.
Yes.
Now, the title of the book is, again, Make Someone's Day, Become a Memorable Leader in Work and in Life. Tell us about the evolution of this book, the title, and what was the inspiration? So again, the evolution, the title, and what inspired you to put this masterpiece together?
Oh, you're too kind. So let's start with the inspiration.
Yeah.
And we all know that inspiration happens in different ways, right? It's just like one of those spark occurrences, like the Post-it notes that we like, the sticky notes, right? That was an accident. This, I guess, was a bit of an accident too. I was at the commuter rail station going downtown Chicago early one morning, and a young woman came up to me with a clipboard and asked me to sign her petition. And I asked her what it's for. And she said, we want to get a candidate on the ballot. And I said, who? And I said, I've heard of this person. I'd be happy to sign. So I took the clipboard. I signed my name, the county I live in, the date, handed it back to her without a second thought. And she took it and looked at me with wide eyes and said, the 4 most powerful words in the English language: you made my day.
Mm. Mm.
Jim, I cannot tell you what that did for me. That instant, the whole ride down, the whole day, and for the past 5 years. Those words came with what I have now called the boomerang effect. Because if I made her day, by her saying that to me, made my day as well. So what a powerful moment. And I had what I thought about on the ride. I said, what did I do? And I realized, well, I think I was the first person to sign the petition. Maybe she'd been rejected. Maybe she was unsure on how people would receive this. I don't know what specifically I did, but it was powerful enough to her that she said, you made my day. And it turned an idea and a concept, which is how I've lived my life, into something that I think everyone can use.
Howard, what was it about that particular experience? Because something tells me, I've heard it before, you've heard it before, someone has said you made my day, but in this moment, it landed on you differently. So if you go back to that experience, can you recall what specifically was the catalyst where you heard those 4 words differently than you did in the past?
Yes, that's a great, great question, Jim. And maybe it was, I was coming off a weekend where I was in an intensive seminar with Marshall Goldsmith and a number of other people who are all, many of whom were best-selling authors. And I thought, it's time that I got a book out, but what am I going to write about? And so that was where my mindset was at, was trying to think about what is it that I can contribute that can make a difference to people, to leaders, and truly to society. And I realized this is it.
You put it out into the universe. I remember my first book, From Average to Awesome. Like you, I was in a place where I needed a title.
Yes.
I already knew what I was going to write about, but I needed a title. And I went to a workshop, weekend workshop for new entrepreneurs. And I was in a session where the facilitator was asking, what do you do? What are you writing about? And of course, I was in the front row. I raised my hand. We made eye contact. She looked at me I looked at her like she was a Happy Meal. I was coming up there and I was going to share. And I shared what I was going to write about. And she said, no, 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 no. This is what you do. This is going to be a book on helping people move from average to awesome. There was the title. We put it out in the universe and voila, it happened. Well, since during those 5 years, when you were putting this book together, what were some of the experiences that you had that contributed to each chapter? Can you remember of moments and times where you said, that's for the book, or write this one down. This is a good one.
Yes. And files bulged right as I saw articles and heard things online and things on programs I watched. So I like watching CBS Sunday Morning, and they always have some uplifting segments. And so I got a few ideas from there. One of them, so I have to tell you, one of them involves the sousaphone. Last year when we were all locked up and everything, locked down. Now we weren't locked up.
It felt like everything.
It felt like it. I know. So someone, Steve Hartman and this other person, Jerry Villanueva, put together something called Taps Across America. And they asked musicians on Memorial Day to step out on their porch, on their balcony, in their driveway, on the sidewalk. And at 3 p.m., wherever you are, whatever time zone, at 3 p.m., to play taps to honor the veterans of our country.
Howard, you set me up real good, because I believe we have you in action playing taps.
No way.
At
no
3
way.
p.m. Let's take a look. How did you feel when you were playing that in that moment?
I felt very proud. I felt super proud to be able to contribute in a way when people weren't able to go to parades or concerts or even memorial celebrations, to be able to give back. And you saw I put on my Scout uniform.
Yes.
That's a long-term interest. I love helping and mentoring our youth. They're so eager. So I said, I'm putting my Scout uniform on to do this honor for America.
Brilliant. And based on what I'm hearing and seeing, the book, even though it's launched today, is picking up a lot of momentum. You were just at the ATD conference in Utah, and we have pictures with a bunch of fans, a bunch of people who wanted you to sign their book. Can you tell us about what's happening here?
Yes. So we're able to, I know you said that the book officially launches today, but we had a preview launch. And here are some of the people that Jim, I think you and I probably both know, yes, who came up and said, would you please sign my book? I would love to buy a book. And we were able to get a few dozen out there early, pre-publication. And I was so delighted to be able to do that for these people. It was an exciting moment for me to really personalize the book to people in our profession who are out there helping others. And matter of fact, several of these people have stories in the book as well.
That's awesome. Now, that was a more traditional setting. We see that people are reading this book in non-traditional settings. Let's take a look at this. All right, where is this reader?
She is in Bryce Canyon National Park in Utah.
Wow.
And she went there, Rebecca went there after the conference. And I said, would you mind sending me a picture? And she said, I would love to, because I can't stop reading this.
I love it. For those of you who have questions or comments, please put it in the chat room. Howard, who is this book intended for? When you started to compile your thoughts, who did you have in mind? What audiences or audience?
Yes. No, Jim, you're right. And when you said audiences, because it is multiple. So the first people I thought of are leaders and managers, because you and I, matter of fact, we're talking about this. And when I give workshops, I ask, how many people have had a great manager? And hands go up. And then I say, how many people have had a bad manager, a poor manager? And every single hand goes up. Mm. It is so sad that few of us have had good managers, but all of us have had bad managers in our lives. And so one of the things I said is, I've been in leadership development my whole career and have won awards, as you mentioned up front, for some of the work, and very proud of those awards. But why is it not taking? What's not happening that we have so many bad managers out there? So I create a very simple model, Jim. I call it the VIP model. Because
VIP. Now,
VIP.
I want you to share the VIP, and we also want you to share the 4-step process for making someone's day. So
I will. So I said, who doesn't want to feel like a VIP? And if managers can learn to do this for the people who work for them, in return, they're going to get higher commitment, higher motivation, higher productivity, and greater retention. And that's what they're looking for.
Well, why haven't we done it? Why are there so many bad managers? Why aren't managers looking to empower? Instead, they're looking to gain more power.
Yeah,
what prevents them from making somebody's day?
I know. I think it's because they feel that their primary focus is getting the work done. And that's the default button in them is, I got to get the work done. I got to get the projects done. And so oftentimes they just go to whatever they grew up with or saw in the movies or TV, and they act that way. And darn it, I get kidded a lot. It's like, we don't need to be Dirty Harry here. We don't need to take out and say, do I have 4 shots or 5? We don't need that, even though it feels like they've got the gun and bullet at our heads so often. We need to be inspired, and we can be. And that can be more effective. I was going to say at least as effective, but I'd say more effective as a managerial technique.
So right now we are living and working during chaotic times. Managers still have not, I'm going to say perfected, because I don't believe in perfection. I believe in you being your best, but we're not getting distance or virtual leadership or amazing leadership. People are living in uncertainty, but right now they have a manual that they could refer to help people change, spin, pivot, to turn that frown upside down. And you have created this work that also entails the 4-step process. What's that about? How can we do that?
Oh, it's so beautiful and elegant. And what I realized this morning when I woke up, Jim, I'm honest to God, I hadn't realized this before, that the 4 steps, which I'll share in a moment, all have a pause button in them. So we just don't do a knee-jerk reaction, but do a thoughtful reaction. Nice. So step 1 is to view and observe. What's going on around you? What do you think people are experiencing? What do you think they need? Because one of the things about Make Someone's Day is it's situational. It needs, the right thing needs to happen at the right time. And so you need to be an observer of human nature. And certainly the more you know people, the better observer you're going to be, but it works with strangers as well. Simply getting on a bus or train or plane and smiling at another person who looks lost in thought can be all that's needed to make someone's day. It can be that simple. So view and observe is step 1. Step 2 is to identify and consider. So once you've viewed and observed and you thought, what do they need? Then you just need to identify, what are some actions I can take? What do I want to consider doing that might be helpful for the person? And then the 3rd step is to plan and act. And you'll notice that we have view and observe. So view is the active part, Observe is the reflective part. Identify and consider. Identify is the active part. Consider is the reflective part. Plan and act. Well, I suppose I could reverse that because act is certainly the active part, but plan is the reflective part. Sometimes we can do this right away. Offering a smile, we don't need to plan for that, right? We can just go do it. But other times, or helping someone with luggage or a package, or there's so many different ways. You're the north as I am, so we've got snow shoveling season coming up upon us. Helping someone with their sidewalk or with their car, oh my gosh, and clearing off some snow. That does wonders. There's so many simple ways to do that. And finally, as you said, the 4-step model, these are the 3 steps to do it. There's a 4th step, and that's to review and reflect. Again, that pause. Review what happened, what worked, what didn't, how did you feel, how did they feel, and then reflect on what you might do next time in a similar situation or the similar person.
I know some people are thinking, I do acts of kindness. I help people out. I sometimes put other people before myself. We call that the subjugation in the book, Reinventing Your Life. What makes your book different? What's the special sauce, the special ingredient that supersedes our mindset about acts of kindness, what we've had up to now?
Yes, yes. And the act of kindness is good. And the pay it forward is good, right? Those are excellent techniques of really gratitude and appreciation and passing it on. The difference between those and make someone's day is this. And that is that make someone's day is the exact thing you need at the right time, in the right way, in the right place. The others can happen anytime. You could be nice, you can pay it forward, pay the toll for someone behind you, or coffee for the person behind you. You can do all these wonderful and nice things anytime. Sometimes they may make someone's day, sometimes they're just nice to do and you feel good. But make someone's day is the right thing at the right time.
Love it, love it. And again, with everything going on in this world, why is make someone's day right now the right time to read this book?
Yes. Oh my gosh. You talked earlier about timing could not be better. And it's as you say, with 5 years, I wasn't thinking, well, I'm going to wait 5 years until the right time.
Wait until a pandemic.
Right.
I'm going to wait through some civil unrest, social unrest.
Right. Absolutely. Let's let the world go upside down and crazy, and then I'll release the book. No. It just was fortuitous that it happened right now. But these times really call for people to bring more kindness. And people talk about this as it's a nice book for kindness. Well, kindness is good, and I love kindness, and I love that this helps that happen. But notice the subtitle is Becoming a Memorable Leader in Work and Life. And it's the memorable part. Think about, and both you, Jim, and think about those listening, who are the people who most made your life? Think about the teachers, your colleagues, your aunt and uncle, your parents. Who are the ones who really influenced you and helped you get to where you are? And I have a chapter, it's the next to last chapter in the book, that talks about thanking those that made your lives. It's being those things that are memorable that we keep with us. Those are the things, as you know, from speaking, Jim, and doing training exercises, that it's the ones that are experiential, that we experience, that are so memorable, that last. And make someone's day provides memories and experiences that last.
Love it. There's a comment in the chat room that says, Howard, you are a fantabulous being. You had a mind to be present for the young lady and also with life. Encouragement is something our society sees as a sign of weakness because we're duped. to believe we don't need that type of affirmation or love. We need it.
We need it.
Now, Howard, you just didn't sit down and say, this is the right thing to do. This is opinion, subjective. You've done some research. And I believe chapter 2 in the book talks about, no, chapter 3, the neuroscience behind making someone's day. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks, Jim. So I said, why is this working? Why is this so powerful? What is it that happens? What's your neurons? It's your neurons that fire. And what we get is we get a cocktail, a neuron cocktail, right? The oxytocin and the part of our brain that brings us joy and happiness, that lights up, and that this cocktail lights it up. So then I said to myself, well, how the heck does the boomerang effect happen? Why is that happening? And it's because we have mirror neurons. Our mirror neurons are a reflection of what we bring to others. And so it's why when you visit someone who may be ill in the hospital or just ill at home or not feeling well, or even just visiting a relative who's lonely, right? It's why they light up when you come. I mean, they light up when you come, Jim, because it's such an awesome presence. But for the rest of us, you see that those visits do make a difference. And in fact, Cutler and Banerjee, or two of the researchers I've quoted in the book, have done research on that and done research to find that, yes, indeed, when you visit someone in the hospital who you're trying to uplift, their mirror neurons pick up your essence. And so it helps them in the healing process. So there's a lot of science behind it. You know, our Surgeon General talks about it as well. Our current Surgeon General, who's also Surgeon General under the Obama administration, he's written a book about what we need to do to get out of this loneliness and the fear that we have. And it's a beautiful book. There's so much out there. It really speaks to why this works, why it's needed, and how simple it is to do. Now, let me share you, can I share you some stories, Jen?
Please, that was leading into my next question. You're saying it's simple to do, where I believe some people think it's very challenging to do.
Yeah. And the book goes that way, by the way. It starts with the simple, like the smile or the shoveling a person's driveway or whatever it might be, or their car, cleaning their car. It starts with simple things. So you don't need to go to the big planning things. Like I went down with my daughter, Hillary, and my sister, Meryl. We went down to New Orleans after Katrina to help rebuild homes. Well, that's definitely takes a lot of planning to do that, right? And there's a story about that in the book as well. Because what happened when we did that and spent the day drywalling and painting, all this stuff, the owner of the house said, would you like to see where this really hit? And he got in our car and drove us around the lower Ninth Ward where the worst damage happened. We saw Fats Domino's house and so many others. And he took us to the levees and showed us what happened there. And then we went to this patch, this big patch of land. And all you could see were front steps. Everything else was gone. So he, in a sense, made our day by showing us the side that really the people weren't seeing, where they were seeing the parts that were being repaired and restored. They weren't seeing the parts that were totally destroyed. So in that sense, we made each other's day. But that takes plan and action. Here's another one. So I'd like to share, because this works. If you don't want to have personal contact or can't, here's another way it can work. Campbell's soup. And who doesn't love Campbell's soup, right? Campbell's soup.
Good.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Doug Conan, I'll bet you know too, took over Campbell Soup as CEO when they were struggling, when there was more in the red than just the tomato soup. And Campbell's factory was in Camden, New Jersey, their headquarters.
Yes.
That's where the state prison is too. And the way Campbell's Soup was with their walls and their barbed wire and security, you couldn't tell if you're at the prison or Campbell's.
Wow.
And that's how people felt working there. So he did a number of things to turn around. But here's the point that I think Doug did best. He wrote 200 to 250 notes a week, personal notes of thanks to people who made a difference at Campbell's that week. Can you imagine if you were working and you got a thank you note handwritten from the CEO, how you would feel? That would go up on my desk, my wall, wherever I would have it. I would be so proud of that. And that's partly what turned Campbell's around. Doug Conan talks about it in his book Touch Points. And I really think it's just a beautiful story of him making someone's day. Here's another one. So I'll give a couple bigger examples and then some more down-to-earth examples. So, and I feel like this is happening all over the NBA right now. But Shaq is a big one to try to make someone's day in just kind of quietly, and occasionally word goes out. So he was in Atlanta at a jewelry store buying some things, and there was a young man there who was, he heard him talking to the clerk saying, "And how much more do I have on layaway to get this engagement ring?"
Wow.
And Shaq turned to him and he said, "Your engagement ring is paid for." He said, go do what you need to with the money.
Wow.
Now, what a beautiful thing. And I know some of the current NBA players, Steph Curry, and I've talked to Paul Gasol and such, their philosophy is the same way of giving back in that manner. So it's just beautiful to see that happen and to see people of means help those without means. There's a basketball player, Gideon George, on the BYU team. Gideon George came from Africa. I'm not sure, I want to say Nigeria or Kenya. I apologize, I don't know exactly which country. But Scout discovered him there, and he had one pair of shoes that he wore for everything. And you can imagine how worn out they were. And he got a pair of new gym shoes. And it just changed his life. You know, a lot of people in countries, impoverished countries, don't have shoes, and diseases like elephantitis and such come because of that. Well, Gideon was rewarded because he was such a good player with a trip and a scholarship to come to school in the US. He started at New Mexico State College and then transferred to BYU. And he said, "I've got to pay back." So many of the athletes, I don't know if you experienced this as an athlete, got a number of pairs of shoes and they need to wear them that many times. He asked for the shoes that they were done with, and he would ship them back in big containers to Africa to give to other youth who need them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about making someone else's day. Talk about the go-giver. Howard, I see this tuba behind you.
Yes.
And something tells me that you've been making people's day for a lot of years. You also mentioned being in New Orleans after Katrina, New Orleans. Well, based on our research, crack research, we have some footage of you in New Orleans with that tuba, getting it in on the street.
When this night is over, oh, how far away, over to the land of possible shows, oh, how you fly away. Well, fly away, fly away. heat in the morning, yeah, when I die. Hallelujah, Valentine, you know how my way.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That is Doreen. Anyone, if you want to pick up her CDs, just Google Doreen. She's a fantastic clarinet player. I love playing with her whenever I'm down in that city. Thank you, Jim.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You made their day, and you appeared comfortable, natural. I mean, this tuba goes everywhere, everywhere. What's happening here?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, the one on the left is playing a 4th of July parade, and so love being able to do that. But on the right, you see a couple pictures that took place just a few weeks ago in Lincoln Park in Chicago, and there was a big celebration, and they brought our band in. And it was just a delight to be able to get outside and play once again for people. And so I just love doing that. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. You doing what you do. Part of making someone's day is having a make someone's day mindset. We have to have a mindset. There is a question in the chat room that speaks to this. It says, how do you get in a mindset to make someone's day when you yourself may be dealing with COVID-19 losses, or dealing with bad bosses, or experiencing your own tough times? What advice do you have for getting in this frame, this make someone's day frame of mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what a challenging question and challenging time. You know, all I can say is that the best thing to do is just be on the lookout for how you can help and impact others. Because as you do, that's going to help you and maybe lift some of the clouds off of you, the weight off of your shoulders, because we all face that. And certainly we're all going through these challenges right now. What do we do? You know, are we getting a job, getting to the job? How can we make things happen? And we've got loved ones who have suffered, or God forbid, we've lost them through COVID. You know, what do we do then? And so I believe that Make Someone's Day is a way of helping you uplift that. So maybe it's time for another small story. So I gave you some big ways that people did it. You know, it's like, well, it's great for these CEOs and famous NBA players. They don't have any worries that the rest of us do. Well, here's Lisa. No, you know what? I'm going to tell Phyllis's story first. Then I'm going to go to Lisa.
How's that for a content teaser? You threw that out there and then bring it back.
Yeah. So Connie works at a public library. And we all know that one of the things that happens in public libraries, you know, it's free to use and come in and such. And sometimes you'll find people who are maybe if not homeless, they kind of go with their bags everywhere. And Phyllis was one of those people. She came into the library when it opened, shortly after it opened every day, and she'd plop her bag on the desk. And everyone else in the library, all the staff would be like, oh no, here she is again. What do we do? How do we put up with this? This isn't what we want our library to be. And Connie, though, said, there's got to be something behind Phyllis. What's her story? And so Connie got to thinking and learned that Phyllis's birthday, her 80th birthday, was coming up. And so what Connie did is she said, I'm going to put on a birthday party for Phyllis. And she went to her colleagues at the library who worked there, and she said she got contributions from them, begrudgingly got contributions from them. And she got a bunch of little presents and a cake and everything. And on the day of her birthday, Phyllis walks in and Connie comes up to her and she said, would you mind coming with me? And she's like, yeah, what do you want? Yeah, well, where am I going? Right. We know people like that. Connie opened the door and people yelled surprise. And Phyllis immediately broke down in tears. Connie thinks that she never had a birthday, certainly not as an adult, and has never had people to care for her like this. Not only did that make Phyllis's day, it made everyone's day who worked in the library, and everyone changed their perspective. You know, we talked about this cancel culture. It'd be so easy to cancel Phyllis, to cancel her out as someone who's an outlier and not part of a mainstream and everything. And all of a sudden, everyone got a newfound appreciation for her. And to this day, Connie has on her phone the photos from that experience. And as she told me the story, she's showing me pictures of the party and of Phyllis. And what a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to be rich and famous to make someone's day. And when you do, you get it back. So hopefully some of the troubles and challenges that you're facing can fade away or not be as burdensome by being able to do that.
Howard, I want to stay with your "you get it back," because you have some people who say, I give at work, at home, in my neighborhood, and there's no reciprocity. I'm through with giving because it doesn't come back. Sometimes people don't even say thank you. I'm teaching them to become takers rather than appreciating me contributing to making a great day for you. Any reactions to that?
Yeah, no, I think that's true, Jim. We think about that. We always kind of look for, here's a term that everyone got in the news, the quid pro quo. What's the quid pro quo for what I'm doing, right? Yes. And the idea is behind make someone's day is there isn't a quid pro quo. It's the right thing to do. And it doesn't work every time. It works many of the times. But remember, it's the right thing at the right time for the right person. So many times that we try to make someone's day or pay it forward or do something nice for someone, people appreciate it. It's like, well, that's very nice. Thank you. And they'll say that. And they're sincere about that. But it's not necessarily a make someone's day moment. And the more that we know people, the more we can have that happen. And then there's the spontaneous times it happens, Jim. So I'm in St. Louis on business and staying at a hotel and was going down to work out and had a t-shirt on. It happened to be a Cubs t-shirt in St. Louis. Not necessarily a
good thing to do. Not a good thing to do.
I know. But I'm wearing it and I'm went up to the front desk to ask the receptionist something. And she looked at me and she said, "You made my day." Okay, she's in St. Louis. I'm wearing a Cubs shirt. Tell me how this happens. She said, no, it's not the Cubs shirt. It's the sponsor. It was sponsored by a place called Portillo's, which was her favorite restaurant. And she said, seeing that brought such great memories to me. Now, I can't say, keep changing your t-shirt or your cap to make sure you've got the right logo for someone. But, it can be as simple and spontaneous as that. I created the VIP model because we don't know what t-shirts we should be wearing or what caps we should be wearing. So we want to learn how to be able to do it. But it also happens spontaneously. And the more you think about it, the more you try to do it, the more you're aware, the more times it's likely to happen. And I've got some worksheets, both in the book, and I've got full copies of those worksheets on my website, howardhprager.com. And if people go there, they can download those for free. That's my gift to you.
Now I hear that H is there for a reason.
Yes.
Where it's not just Howard Prager. What's that H about?
My dad. The book's dedicated to my parents and my grandmother. And my dad always signed his middle initial. He was Arnold B. Prager. And I thought, God bless him, he's gone 30 years this year. And I thought, how can I recognize him in the book? And I said, I'm going to use the middle initial.
Mm, love it. Love it. It's one of the reasons why I use my junior. There's special significance to that.
Really?
Howard, a second ago, you talked about simple and spontaneous. I
Yeah.
want to be that way right now. Since you're sitting down, you're nice and comfortable. That nice and comfortable chair you're in has just become the hot seat. With the hot seat, actually, I'm a trainer too. With the hot seat activity, I'm going to give you a word. And in less than 2 seconds, 1 second, I like for you to share the first word that comes to your mind when you hear that word.
Okay.
This is not an activity where you think to talk. It's one where you talk to think. And I'm going to encourage you, give us the one word, not the sentence, not the phrase, but you are now on the hot seat. Your first word, leadership.
Inspirational.
Trust.
Confidence.
Music.
Tuba.
Team building.
Experiential.
Resourcefulness.
Thoughtful.
Authenticity.
True.
Diversity.
Value. Beautiful value.
Communication.
Now I'm stumped. All right. Communication. Sharing.
And finally, giving.
Make someone's day.
Ah, love it, love it, love it. Creative too. Howard, when you go into work with organizations, especially going forward now, is there a make someone's day model? Is there a workshop? Is there a keynote? How are you sharing your make someone's day philosophy with your clients and customers and the leaders you speak to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and I'm glad, and you know what? People who are listening to this show right now, you are the first ones to hear this. You are the very first ones. I'm going to be starting a LinkedIn Live program, monthly program for free, where people are going to be able to talk and share their Make Someone's Day stories. Because what happens, Jim, so frequently is, as I talk about it, especially on these radio shows, people call in to share their stories of how someone has made their day or how they've made someone else's day. I had this one caller who said, got some extraordinary help at a Home Depot. And he said, I tracked down that person's manager to make sure they knew what an amazing job the person did and the time they spent with me. People have these that they're anxious to share and don't know how to do it. And they're also anxious to say, well, why didn't this work? And so that's what it's going to be a monthly LinkedIn Live. I'll be putting information out on my website, howardhprager.com. And anyone and everyone is welcome to come, share, learn, give, and grow. So that's one way I'm doing it. But then, yeah, I do have workshops. I'm really learning how to use the VIP model. Right. So it's I think it's a very simple model, but the practice. And so what happens is in the workshop, people actually practice viewing and then observing, identifying and then considering, and then planning and acting. And so we go through ways of being able to do this so it becomes much more common and easy for people to do. As we all know, to turn a skill into a habit just takes some concerted practice. And so that's what I do in my workshops. That's what I do in my messages, is find ways for people to start becoming more and more comfortable with it so it becomes something natural for them to do.
Howard, what do you say to the leader who says, all right, Howard Prager, I hear this. This is nice. This is fun. This is, yes, it's the right thing to do. But I focus on results. I'm getting things done. Things have changed. I'm having to lead virtually. There's so much uncertainty. Yes, it's nice to make someone's day, but I want to make my organization money. What do you say to that person?
I say, what is it about making money that is opposite of what makes someone's day is? They really go hand in hand. And by the way, if you want to make them money, you want to be able to retain the people and the stars at your workplace. And guess what? If they're feeling like they're beaten down, or they're not listened to, or they're not feeling like they're playing a major role, they're going to walk down the street. There are jobs now everywhere. And people are saying, I don't have to put up with this anymore. I can work where I can really be valued and make a difference. So that's what I say to the person who's just saying, yeah, for me, it's just bottom line and make the money, get the workout, right?
Does it take courage to make someone's day?
I don't.
That's
a good question. I don't think so. I don't think it takes courage. I think it takes desire.
Yeah. I'm asking because of the times we're living in, people are skeptical about someone else's overtures. The trust isn't there. Why are they doing it? What do they want?
Right.
Those types of situations sometimes limit one to want to give, because people don't give as much as they ought. But that's why I asked, does it take courage to fight through or move through that skepticism that exists at times?
Yeah, well, I would think that now that you've explained it further, yeah, it would take some courage. But I also think it takes the desire to want to make a difference, to want to live your values, to want to live the life that we all want, to be part of a organization and a community of people who care about making others' days. It can make such a difference. There are stories, I told you there's a story in the book. As a matter of fact, there are several, couple simple ones, not very simple, but people who made the decision to donate their kidney to save someone's life. And I could believe that there's more than just one person who felt that way, that they wanted to share the gift of life, their gift of life, with someone else. But there more than one person who said that. Another theme that I had is best bosses. There's a whole chapter about how to be a best boss. And I give a couple examples of how people whose boss traveled and then came back and brought with them something not for them, but something for their child. What type of loyalty would you give a boss like that? Awesome. Right? Undying loyalty. And these things are, I'd love to say that they're rarely like one-offs. They're not, because there's, even in the book, there's several stories about that type of thing happening. It's something that we can all do if we want to, if we have the courage. So let me share you a quick courage story. And this has to do with Curtis Martin, a friend of mine who was an NFL running back.
For the Jets out of the University of Pittsburgh, number 27.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There we go. Okay.
24, rather. 27 or 24. I don't remember.
Yeah. Wow. So Curtis, this junior year, they're scouting him for the Senior Bowl. And one of the scouts says, I want you to be in the Senior Bowl next year. Well, next year comes his senior year, and he gets injured early. And he gets treatment, but he doesn't play that season. And he's thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to make the NFL? How am I going to make people see me? And the person said to him, I want to see you in the Senior Bowl no matter what. And and this has to do with courage, Jim. Curtis had the courage to call this person and say, hey, do you remember when you told me? He said, yeah. I'm so sorry you got injured. What a shame. And shame that you didn't play this season. And he said, well, remember you said to me, I want to see you in the Senior Bowl no matter what. I'm ready. And he first said, I don't think I'm going to be able to help you. I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything for you. But let me see. So we got him into the Senior Bowl. He got him into the Senior Bowl, not as a running back, but as a fullback. Curtis isn't a big guy.
No.
And he was the last string fullback. But he had courage and he had attitude. And he said, I'm going to prove to them that I belong. And when they saw his blocking, he kept moving up the charts until the fact that he was starting. And come the Senior Bowl, and the scouts saw him, they said, my gosh, if he has this much courage, this much fortitude in a position that's not his natural position, what's he going to be like when he comes into his position? So you're right. He got drafted. He played for
the Jets.
Yes. And he became a Hall of Fame running back.
Patriots, Jets, Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Hall of Famer. Howard, there's a comment in the chat room that says, I believe there's something magical about doing kindness, expecting nothing in return. The goodness always comes back in some shape, size, or forms. Has that been your experience as well?
Yes. Thank you. Great comment. Yeah. We could call it magical. I think the best thing to do is not expect anything, because when we expect anything, all that we can do is set up for disappointment. So to do the right thing is all it takes. Do the right thing. Help others out. See what's needed. Try to be there at that time. View and observe, identify and consider, plan and act. That's all.
Let me share a few chapter teasers for people who are interested in the book.
Right.
You have show up and stand out, make someone's day for introverts, go all in, managers and leaders making a difference at work, overcoming rudeness and incivility. I mean, this book is chock full of ways to make someone's day. And Howard, I want you to make my day right now. We're coming to the end of the show. And at the end, we always ask our guests to give a 30 seconds or so mini keynote address, encouraging us, challenging us, exhorting us. You're a speaker, you're a trainer, you're a coach. You got 30 seconds now. I want you to look into that mic check. Look into that camera, not the mic, look into the camera and give us your best keynote relative to what you shared or any admonition for us going forward.
Make someone's day is something we are all capable of. It's within our grasp. It's within our ability. It's within our way of living and our way of acting. And if you could make a difference for others that makes their day, just think what an impact you will have had on others, and they in turn can have on you. Don't miss the opportunity. Don't miss this train that's taking off. Hop on it and go become the type of person that others admire and look to, because you're someone who makes someone's day.
Mic drop. Bam. You just did it. Howard Prager, Howard H. Prager, thank you so much for your work, your book. Thank you for spending time with us today and the viewers of the Dr. James Show. And for the viewers, go make someone's day. Make it a way of life. Surprise them. They're not looking for it. Surprise them and keep it moving to the next person. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Please bring somebody with you. And in the meantime, remember, you've just been Gym-Packed.